I started drinking this every single morning for 7 days. And by day 7, my blood pressure reading dropped. My hands and feet were noticeably warmer, and the heaviness I used to feel in my chest after climbing stairs, gone. Not a pill, not a statin, not something your doctor is going to call you and recommend. This is a real arterial plaque clearing protocol, a drink you make at home in under 2 minutes that targets plaque at the vascular level, restores blood flow, and begins reversing damage that has quietly been building in your arteries for decades. It is backed by science, ignored by conventional cardiology. And if you are over 40 and you have ever worried about your heart, your blood pressure, or your circulation, this may be the most important video you watch this year. Now, I want to be clear before we go any further. This is not a gimmick. This is not some detox tea that does nothing. What I am going to show you today is a drink formulation built on real vascular biology, a combination of compounds that work on 3 specific mechanisms in your arteries that conventional medicine completely ignores. And here is why that matters. Millions of people are walking around right now with arteries that are 40, 50, even 60% narrowed by plaque, and they have no idea. They feel fine until they don't. And by then, it is too late. But what the research is now showing us, and we are going to go deep on this, is that your body has an internal system designed to reverse this damage. And this drink is designed to activate exactly that system. Hi, I'm Dr. Leana. I've been working in emergency medicine for close to 10 years now. And every day I show up to the ER to treat and help hundreds of people get back on their feet. That's a little bit about me. Now your turn. Introduce yourself in the comments, tell me your age, and anything health-related you've been wondering about. I personally go through every comment, and I'll try my best to respond. Also, if you're new here, do me a small favor and tap that subscribe button. I'm chasing 200,000 subscribers this month, and every new sub truly means a lot. And don't sleep on our private Instagram community either. That's where I give you straight, honest answers to your health questions directly. Thank you for being here. All right, let's dive in. Now, I want you to understand something. I share this not to make a pharmaceutical level claim. I share this because this is my lived experience, and the biology behind it is completely coherent. And we are going to get into exactly why. Here's what most people do not understand about arterial plaque. It is not like a pipe clogging with sediment. It is not just cholesterol sitting in your bloodstream and sticking to walls. The real process is far more biological and far more reversible than your doctor may have told you. Let me walk you through what is actually happening. Your arteries are lined with a single layer of cells called the endothelium. Think of it as the inner skin of your blood vessels. When that lining is healthy, it is smooth, flexible, and it produces a critical molecule called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide tells the artery walls to relax and expand. It keeps blood moving freely. It prevents clots. It is arguably the most important cardiovascular molecule in the human body. Now, by the time you're in your 40s, especially if you have had years of processed food, chronic stress, poor sleep, or elevated blood sugar, that endothelial lining begins to break down. Nitric oxide production drops. The artery walls get stiffer, and the damage to the lining creates something like a wound, a micro tear in the vessel wall. And your body, being intelligent, sends cholesterol to patch that wound. This is the start of a plaque lesion. The problem is, when that cholesterol gets oxidized, meaning it reacts with inflammation and free radicals, it becomes what scientists call oxidized LDL. And oxidized LDL is what the immune system attacks. White blood cells rush in, engulf the oxidized LDL, and become what are called foam cells. These foam cells accumulate, harden, calcify over time, and that is your plaque. So the root cause is not cholesterol. Cholesterol is actually the body's patch material. The root cause is endothelial damage combined with oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. And here is what is critically important for anyone watching this who is over 40. This process accelerates dramatically in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. Nitric oxide production decreases by roughly 50% between the ages of 40 and 70. Antioxidant capacity drops, inflammation goes up, the rate of plaque formation speeds up. But, and this is the part that conventional cardiology does not talk about loudly enough, the research now clearly shows that this process can be slowed, halted, and in many cases partially reversed. Not with statins, not with blood thinners, with specific compounds that work at the cellular level to restore endothelial function, reduce oxidative stress, and begin clearing the vascular environment. That is exactly what this drink is designed to do. I want to walk you through the 3 mechanisms this drink targets, because I want you to understand the why before I give you the what. Mechanism 1, restoring nitric oxide production. The first thing we are targeting is nitric oxide, or NO. There is a landmark study published in the journal Clinical Nutrition by Dr. Michael Averim and his team at the Technion Institute of Technology in Israel. They took patients with carotid artery atherosclerosis, confirmed measurable arterial plaque, and had them drink pomegranate juice daily for 1 year. The results were remarkable. Carotid intima media thickness, which is the medical measurement of plaque thickness in the carotid artery, was reduced by up to 30% in the pomegranate group. 30%! The control group, who received no pomegranate, saw their plaque increase by 9% over the same period. What was the mechanism? Pomegranate is extraordinarily rich in compounds called punicalagins and anthocyanins. These are polyphenols that have been shown to directly stimulate the enzyme ENOS, endothelial nitric oxide synthase. That enzyme is what your endothelium uses to produce nitric oxide. By activating it, pomegranate compounds essentially restart nitric oxide production in damaged arteries. More nitric oxide means the artery walls relax, blood flows more freely, and the vascular environment becomes less hospitable to new plaque formation. Mechanism 2, reducing oxidized LDL and plaque inflammation. Remember, oxidized LDL is the fuel for plaque growth. The second mechanism of this drink is reducing that oxidation. This is where polyphenols come in, specifically curcumin, quercetin, and the oleocanthal found in high-quality extra virgin olive oil. A 2023 meta-analysis published in Nutrients reviewed 27 randomized controlled trials on curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, and found consistent reductions in oxidized LDL, improvement in endothelial function, and reduced arterial stiffness in patients with cardiovascular risk factors. Quercetin, a flavonoid found in certain plant extracts, has been shown in multiple human trials to reduce systolic blood pressure, lower LDL cholesterol oxidation, and reduce markers of vascular inflammation, including CRP, C-reactive protein, one of the most important cardiovascular risk markers your doctor can test. And then there is oleocanthal, the compound that gives high polyphenol olive oil its characteristic throat burn. A study from the University of Pisa demonstrated that oleocanthal has anti-inflammatory properties comparable to a low dose of ibuprofen, but without the vascular side effects. It inhibits the same inflammatory enzymes, COX1 and COX2, that drive the chronic low-grade inflammation fueling plaque growth. The Predimed trial, one of the largest cardiovascular diet studies ever conducted, involving over 7,000 participants, found that a Mediterranean diet supplemented with extra virgin olive oil reduced the risk of major cardiovascular events by 30% compared to a low-fat control diet. 30% from food. Mechanism 3, autophagy and vascular cellular cleanup. The third mechanism is autophagy, and this one is the most extraordinary. Autophagy, as some of you may know from my previous videos, is the process by which your cells break down and recycle damaged components. It is the body's internal cleanup system. What most people do not know is that autophagy plays a direct role in atherosclerosis and arterial plaque. Research published in Nature Reviews Cardiology showed that autophagy in vascular smooth muscle cells and macrophages, the immune cells inside plaque, is critical for plaque stability and regression. When autophagy is functioning well, foam cells, those cholesterol-loaded immune cells stuck inside the plaque, are broken down and cleared. Plaque becomes more stable, less likely to rupture, and in favorable conditions, it can reduce in volume. When autophagy is impaired, which happens with aging, metabolic dysfunction, and chronic inflammation, plaque becomes unstable, and the foam cells die in a way that creates what is called a necrotic core. That is the dangerous kind of plaque, the kind that ruptures and causes heart attacks. Now, here is what is fascinating. Several of the compounds we are putting in this drink, including quercetin, curcumin, and the polyphenols in olive oil, have been identified as autophagy activators in vascular tissue. They essentially switch on the cellular cleanup process inside the artery wall. And when you combine these compounds with a fasted state, which is exactly how we are timing this drink, you stack the autophagy signal. Fasting alone induces autophagy. The compounds amplify it. Together, you create a meaningful vascular cellular reset. So to summarize the science before we get to the recipe, number 1, pomegranate compounds restore nitric oxide production in the endothelium. Number 2, curcumin, quercetin, and olive oil polyphenols reduce oxidized LDL and plaque inflammation. Number 3, these same compounds timed with a fasted state activate autophagy in vascular tissue for cellular plaque cleanup. That is the mechanism. Now let's talk about exactly what to drink. Okay, here is exactly what you are going to make every morning for the next 7 days. You are going to start with 12 to 16 ounces of warm water, not boiling, not ice cold, warm or room temperature. This matters because cold water can slow the absorption of fat-soluble compounds like the polyphenols in olive oil, and warm water supports better morning digestion. First ingredient, 1 tablespoon of high polyphenol extra virgin olive oil. Now, I want to spend a moment on this because not all olive oil is equal. Most commercial olive oils, including many expensive-looking Italian brands at the grocery store, are either rancid by the time they reach you, adulterated with cheaper seed oils, or so low in polyphenol content that they barely qualify as therapeutic. The freshness of the olive oil determines the polyphenol concentration. You want an oil that has been cold-pressed, recently harvested, and tested for polyphenol content. I personally use Dela Cruz Pure Olive Oil. It is the only olive oil I trust for this protocol. I will drop the link in the description below, and if you use my link, you can get 10% discount. Second ingredient, 2 tablespoons of 100% unsweetened pomegranate juice concentrate, or 1 teaspoon of pomegranate powder. This is your nitric oxide activator. This is the compound directly linked to the carotid plaque reduction study I referenced. Make sure it is 100% pomegranate, no added sugars, no fillers. A small amount of natural sugar from the pomegranate is fine and will not break your fast meaningfully. Third ingredient, half a teaspoon of high-potency turmeric extract. Look for one standardized to 95% curcuminoids. Ground turmeric from your spice cabinet has about 3% curcumin. For this protocol, you want the extract. And here is something most people miss. Curcumin is fat-soluble and has very poor bioavailability on its own. But 2 things dramatically increase absorption. First, the fat in the olive oil. Second, piperine, the active compound in black pepper. So add a small pinch of black pepper to this drink, or look for a curcumin extract that already includes piperine. Fourth ingredient, half a teaspoon of quercetin powder. Quercetin is your inflammation and oxidized LDL fighter. It is also a potent autophagy activator at the vascular level. I will link the one I use in the description below. Fifth ingredient, a small pinch, about 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Capsaicin, the active compound in cayenne, is a vasodilator. It triggers the release of substance P in blood vessels, which promotes endothelial relaxation and blood flow. It is also a mild autophagy activator, and for a lot of people, it creates an immediate feeling of warmth and circulation as soon as they drink it. Start with a small amount and increase if you tolerate it well. Sixth ingredient, the juice of half a fresh lemon. Vitamin C is a critical cofactor in collagen synthesis, and collagen is literally the structural material of your artery walls. When the endothelium is damaged, vitamin C supports the repair process. Lemon juice also supports the absorption of the other compounds in this drink. And finally, a pinch of high-quality sea salt or Himalayan salt. Electrolytes in the morning support vascular tone and cellular hydration, not table salt. Use a mineral-rich sea salt. Stir everything together in a glass or shaker cup. It will look a little golden orange depending on your turmeric concentration. Drink it within 10 minutes of waking up, before any food, before coffee, before anything else. Now, this section is critical, and most people skip this in their protocols. What you do in the 45 minutes after drinking this drink will either amplify your results or completely cancel them out. Wait at least 30 to 45 minutes before eating anything. You want to preserve the fasted state so that autophagy continues working. If you can push your first meal to noon, even better. The longer the fasted window after this drink, the longer the vascular cleanup process runs. Avoid coffee immediately after. Caffeine on an empty stomach raises cortisol. Cortisol drives inflammation. Inflammation is the root cause of plaque formation. Wait at least 30 minutes. Black coffee after the fasted window is fine. What you must eliminate from your diet for these 7 days, and ideally beyond, are seed oils, canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, cottonseed oil, safflower oil. These oils are extraordinarily high in linoleic acid, an omega-6 fat that oxidizes easily in the bloodstream and directly contributes to oxidized LDL, the fuel for plaque. You cannot be drinking this anti-inflammatory plaque-clearing protocol every morning and then eating fried food cooked in canola oil at lunch. These work against each other at the molecular level. Use instead extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, butter, ghee, beef tallow, coconut oil. These fats are either naturally low in linoleic acid or are stable enough to not oxidize in the body. Avoid refined sugar and refined carbohydrates as your first meal. Bread, cereals, pastries, fruit juice, these spike insulin rapidly. Insulin spikes cause endothelial stress. You are trying to create a clean vascular environment in the morning window. Do not shut it down with a blood sugar spike. Avoid alcohol in this 7-day period if possible. Alcohol converts to acetaldehyde in the liver, which is directly toxic to the endothelium, the very layer of cells this protocol is working to restore. Here's what I want you to look for each day. Write this down, screenshot this, or come back to this video each day to check your progress. Day 1. Drink the protocol on waking. You will notice the warmth and mild activation from the cayenne within minutes. Some people feel a slight flushing sensation. That is vasodilation. That is blood moving into vessels it has not fully reached in a long time.